Live and in living color, it's Michael Knight, New York Vinnie. Mikey and Vinnie take on the world this fine Monday morning, or as they're saying in the media business, Bloody Monday. Michael not on screen this morning, but we do have him on the telephone. Mikey, good morning. How are you?
Vinny, I have decided to go in a slightly different direction.
Okay, we're gonna see if we make this work. Actually, I don't know for sure that you're coming over, but I'm gonna suppose that you are. Because what did they teach us at the Ron Bailey School of Broadcasting? Always act as if the mic is hot and everything is working like you think it should.
And always remember, when you do the basics, be fabulous.
And always remember to cash the check as soon as you can.
Yes, be the first one to the bank. That's the only good thing about the morning shows. You get off the air at 10 o'clock, grab your check, and rush to the bank.
Really, that's about as good as you can say about it. Well, it's been a crazy day today, and I know because we have you on the phone, we'll probably do a little bit shorter version of the show today. But a crazy day in media, as somebody had to take the fall over at Fox for that $750 million tab that Rupert Murdoch got for lunch, and it appears that the first head to really fall, well, like the first one was Lou Dobbs, but you could have made several reasons why they would have got rid of him. But to fire or to part ways with your number one ratings garner, Tucker Carlson, is pretty shocking news in my view, although not totally unexpected.
I was surprised. I thought that they'd go with him forever. And the interesting thing about it is we have to thank him, Vinny, because the morning that you were so angry with him, you called him Tucker Spopaka, was the birth of a whole nation. The planet Earth received a new nation conceived in idiocy. Tucker Spopakia has a country named after him that we love dearly and that we visited many times on our personal appearances. So Tucker's out, but it was quite a day. I don't know what's going on in the universe, but Don Lemon at CNN gets fired at the same time. The head of NBC Universal, Jeff Shell, gets fired at the same time. It's only the gift that you and I have no general manager now, that we weren't blown out this morning.
Yes, we would literally have to fire each other.
I don't want to do that.
No, I don't think we'll. I don't think we'll do that quite yet. At least not for the foreseeable future, because we number one enjoy what we do, and number two, we're pretty good at it. Number three, the price is right.
The price is remarkably favorable to the end user.
And I also feel, Mikey, at some point that we would cause a massive problem if we left this show that we do. That people would be upset and not happy, and it would just be a lot of although you probably could get a consensus of people saying that they would be happy if we left.
No, I can't believe that. Why would someone spend all their Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays watching someone that they didn't like, hoping that they would get fired? That doesn't seem logical. But this is America, where illogical things work their way to the forefront and become part of our life.
Nothing surprises me anymore. I'm extremely interested in the Tucker Carlson. Well, Don Lemon too. I mean, Don Lemon was let go by CNN this morning. I think that was much more not about what he said, although there was a couple of incidences, but just that there was a major personality conflict going on there, and they couldn't figure out a way to get it where it would be not painful for the viewer to watch. That show had gotten to be painful to watch.
He had a look on his face the last time I saw him. He had a hostile Republican in studio sitting right across the desk from him, and they really did not get along well, and it was uncomfortable because Don Lemon was angry with him, but it showed, which is something a host shouldn't do. And his co-hosts from CNN did not help him out. They let him just go on and on and on with this guy. And it was precisely the type of morning show that CNN does not want. Remember, they brought over a guy from CBS. I can't remember his name. I think his name is Light.
Yeah, Chris Light. Yeah, he used to be the producer of Stephen Colbert's show.
And brighter sets, more light, more spring clothes, more standing up, more personal responsibility to the anchor to not just sit there and read, but to be part of the pitch, to become part of the story physically. And it worked for especially the females on the CNN staff. It did not work well for Don Lemon because his partners were both female. They made this transition to mornings easier and more naturally than he did. And he was willing to tangle with people, including his producers and his support staff and his co-hosts. And that's just not the way that a morning show is supposed to run. I mean, it's not just happy talk, because there's going to be serious topics that are considered every day. But it has to be professional in terms of your ability to maintain your demeanor. And he was a dead giveaway. His face was a dead giveaway. And I think that the guy who wants brighter sets, well, first of all, if his first consideration is more light and a brighter set, you know that his first consideration is not the talent that's there, but how he's going to showcase the talent to achieve the look that he's looking for. And Don Lemon was not part of that scheme. So the top man probably was not on his side, and you can't last long like that.
Yeah, it didn't seem as if the whole show felt uncomfortable. The getting up, the moving around, the sitting down, the getting up, the moving. The whole show, even from the outset, before when they were all happy to be there the first week, it seemed to just not have a good feeling about it. And I know shows have to grow into what they do, and you're supposed to give them a chance, but I think combined with that and Lemon's remarks about Nikki Haley and stuff like that, I think that just kind of spelled the destiny of that grouping out, man. And it wasn't going to last. It wasn't going to be um, enjoyable to watch. And at that time of the morning, when you watch something, you want information and you want entertainment. Hint, hint. You want. I mean, I know I do. I want something a little harder edged than what today gives me, and Good Morning America. But somewhere between today and CBS This Morning, give me something in there. But they just couldn't seem to do it. I wish Don well, because I'm a fan of his. I like what he did in that evening show. I thought he did a spectacular job in that show, for the most part. And hopefully, well, listen. Now he and Cuomo can team up and sell their act somewhere. They'll probably put him on. Now, to Tucker Carlson. I feel exactly the opposite. Good for you, you bastard.
You bastard.
Yeah, listen. I know what it's like to be fired, and I know what it's like to. We both know what it's like to have to take that walk out the door with the box, with the security guard or the head of human resources, and I empathize and I feel bad for almost anybody that would do that. But I got to tell you, I don't feel bad at all for Tucker Carlson.
You know what? He lied to America. He did terrible things to the psyche of the nation, and he never apologized. He was happy to do it. He did it for money. He did it for his take-home pay. He didn't care about the consequences. He never cared about the truth. And if you can imagine doing a job where you get paid millions of dollars, where your job is to distort reality and convince otherwise partially educated people that the world is not the way they think it is, that you've got the inside track on the secret developments that only they can find out by watching your show at night. That is a crime. That is a crime against the very nature of media. And I'm glad he got it. I hope it hurt.
Yeah, I've just never been a fan of his. Throughout his career, I never recall a time when I watched him or saw his commentary or saw anything about him and said, "Boy, that guy's got it on the ball." I mean, his face calisthenics, his just his whole persona just always always bothered me. And again, and I don't mind if somebody bothers me. I'm sure I bother a lot of people with my accent and my voice and my sometimes confusion. I'm sure, I'm sure you bother people. I'm sure there's we bother somebody out there. But what we don't do to people, Michael, is lie. We don't advance an agenda with lies. If we advance an agenda, it's because it's what we believe to be true. Whether there's 100 people listening, 1,000 people listening, or 5 people listening, it doesn't matter. We, throughout our careers, have always given people the truth, right?
And when we do lie, like saying the Giants beat the Mets 4 out of 4 over the weekend, that's a lie.
That's a bold-faced lie.
The truth is not far behind. I mean, at least we lie with some idea of the humor involved with it.
Now, I have a theory that came to fruition this morning, but it was I thought that when Tucker Carlson did the interview with Trump last week with President Slapdick, that was his kiss of death. That it was almost a setup. That they knew at that point that they were going to get rid of Tucker, that it was going to be gone, and that they stuck him in the jaws of Trump just to I don't know, just like the tiger plays with the mouse before it eats it.
The tiger enjoys that part, by the way. The mouse, not so much.
No, because the mouse hardly ever, I won't say never, but hardly ever comes out of that one on top.
The future of Tucker Carlson, I think, has already been decided by his past actions. He's not going to be able to sustain a career based on what he's done and the damage that he caused to his company. They thought they were going to get away with it. They thought they were going to skate on this one, and it's just not going to happen. There's going to be terrible price to pay for everybody involved.
Yeah, it is. It's something that, although I do believe that somebody somewhere will pick him up, will make a deal with him. Maybe he'll go to a streaming service or something like that. Maybe something like I don't know, Amazon. I don't think Amazon would do it, but some kind of I guess the most logical person for him to work for would be the Russian broadcasting service. He seems to love Putin so well. Let's see if Putin will write him out some checks.
Maybe you can do a show called Morning from Moscow. And by the way, Vinnie, take a look in your backstage area. I'm there.
Oh, look at that, Mikey. All right, let's bring Michael in on the there we go. Look at that. I can turn my phone off here and we can get Michael. Michael, talk to me.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Hello, hello.
Ah, that sounds golden, man. That's a beautiful thing. Glad we could get you in on it.
I'm sorry that happened, but I finally rebooted, like Kristen told me to do 5 minutes ago, and that worked for the Patutor. So the Patutor works, and I see you, and everything I said about Tucker Carlson, regardless of how senseless or non-feeling it may have sounded, there has to be some answer to what he did. And it had to come from Fox because they paid him, they encouraged him, they let him do what he wanted, they gave him great freedom. He abused it to the point where he created an entire court case around it, an insurrection around it, false reports on state returns, the list of things, and not to mention Sidney, the lawyer, and Rudy Giuliani, and all the other jokers and idiots that they've given.
Sidney Powell and all of those that circus, political circus is all you could really call it.
And they put a great deal of effort and power behind that movement. Now it's time for them to go. Now, what about the producers who were hand in glove with it? Who don't tell me they were only doing it because they were taking orders.
Yeah, that seems to be the popular the popular thing. Well, they told me they told me that I had to do it or I would get fired or this or that. Listen, nobody's ever been indicted for a one-man conspiracy. I mean, you need a number of people to be able to go ahead and add to the whole maelstrom of what's going on.
And they call
And
it a
if
network for a reason. It's a network of all these different elements. And his show was seen coast to coast and by satellite around the world. And their influence was extraordinary. And the money behind it was big. And the numbers were number one. And the sponsors that put their money into it to say that's what we want. More Tucker Carlson, more lies, more distortion, more
more hate
insurrections, more hate, more hate, more hate. Hate talk sells.
is
And believe me, because of that reason, he'll have a talk show now, and it'll be cleared on hate talk stations all across the nation.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is by next week or 2 weeks or whatever, whatever time he takes, he'll be back. I don't know if it'll be on TV. As I said, it might be radio, it might be a streaming service, it'll certainly be a podcast. I mean, they'll have some presence, but he's not going to get the mass audience
No,
that he had with Fox. He's not
that's
going to
over.
get that mass every night pounding ideas into people's heads, because one thing you have to be able to do if you're in this business is to meet them every night, 5 nights a week, and pound it into their heads.
Yep.
It can't just be I'll say this today, and people won't remember that long. People won't give you the space in their lives that long unless you're there every night. And so hopefully, hopefully nobody will give him a job, but somebody, somewhere, somehow, will will not give him, but pay him to do a show, unless he tries to do something which I have been fearful of him doing for a while, and that is to put his name in the hat as a Republican candidate for president.
That I think would be a horrible mistake. He'll never survive the process, and I know what you're saying, because he has the name recognition that it could be a factor.
Right.
I think that James Corden on CBS, because he's getting ready to do his last show, will have Don Lemon and Tucker Carlson as his guests on the same show. Now that would be fantastic.
That would be interesting. That would
And
be
just the two of them for the hour, and ask them all the personal questions. Don, what's wrong with you? How come you can't control your ability to disparage guests when they're on the air? How come we see the hate on your face when we're supposed to see a smiling, genial host? And Tucker, you knew you were lying. Were you always a liar? Were you a liar in middle school? Did everyone call you Liar Tucker, Liar Tucker? Did anybody like you in middle school? Where's this hate and resentment coming from? You came from a wealthy family. You didn't need this job. You didn't need the money. You didn't need the recognition. You could have been fine. You could have played golf for the rest of your life. You could have been what they call a sportsman.
You didn't need to spread hate. That's the thing that I always try to come up with, is why do I know that I'm familiar with the whole thing that you make money and it gets ratings and everything, but why, if you're in that kind of position, do you feel the need to spread hate? I think it's just so unseemly, and it makes me really pray that there's a place where people like this go and get their just rewards. That after they're gone, that there's a place that they go and they get, have to burn in a hellfire, as Arthur Brown would say, for a long, long time.
And listen to a playback of all their top 10 hits, all their accusations, all their mistaken attribution for things that never happened, for people who never did what they said they did, for events that never took place, for elections that were legal, and to back the man that he says he hated. He hated Donald Trump, but he, in cahoots with him, made him more powerful, made him more influential, made him more difficult to get rid of. He made him more of a toothache than he would have been on his own.
I hope that and I think we didn't do a show Friday, but I said this. I was talking to a friend of mine, who I always bounce political stuff off of. She's extremely smart about this kind of stuff. And I said, I hope that between the Dominion settlement and everything else that's going on, and I talked to her this morning, said to her again, I hope that that poor woman who testified in front of the January 6th committee, remember the hairdresser and her daughter?
Yes.
That somebody sends them a check for $1 million out of the whole thing so that they don't have to, because their lives, by Tucker Carlson and by the president of the United States at the time, President Slapdick, was made horrible. It was made a hell. It was made a place that they were afraid to go out of the house, that they were afraid to talk to people, afraid to go to church, afraid to do anything because of this idiot and the other idiot's lies. Absolute lies.
Unable to answer the phone, unable to go out shopping, unable to have a public face as modest as it might have been. And that was a lie that they knew was a lie. It was a lie that was begun purposefully to use them as targets because they would be unable to defend themselves. It was a lie that was unnecessary because it wasn't going to go anywhere. And aside from ruining their individual lives and taking away their personal freedoms, what did it achieve? It didn't help anybody. It was just a target that was convenient for them, that was easy for them to disparage and add layers to it. Oh, they did it. They did it this way. Look, they got the boxes from under the table. They single-handedly blew the election for Donald Trump and gave it to Biden with something they had hidden in a cardboard box.
Just so amazing to me and that there's enough people who follow people like this that actually believe them. I mean, again, it floors me, but they will be back. They're like cockroaches. You can't kill them. You can't kill Tucker Carlson. You can't kill Lou Dobbs. You can't kill Maria Bartiromo. You can't kill these people, Janine Pirro. You can't kill them. The best you can hope to do is hit them with the heel of your boot, and hopefully they won't get up. But but they lay there for a while.
Can we try one more time to kill Lou Dobbs just to see if what you say is true?
I don't want to actually say to kill because that's not my gig. I don't want to see anybody get killed. I use it metaphorically as killing cockroaches. I do believe that these people are human cockroaches.
Well, I take that back. I don't think Lou Dobbs should be killed, but I would like it very much if he could stub his big toe on the bed as he gets out of bed this morning. That would be fine with me. That would be good. He doesn't have to break. He doesn't have to break the big toe, but I want it to hurt.
Well, yeah, I want to see the pain that he has inflicted on people come back to him. The lies that he has told and that Carlson has told and Pirro and all of these other people that that think that they can get away with lying to people as they do. I want to see them suffer a little bit for it.
And the scale on which they operated, Vinnie, when you think about the power that Tucker Carlson had to effect change in the government, to affect attitudes in the Senate, to affect votes in the House, to affect what states did in terms of how they turned out for an election and what they did when they got in the voting booth, and to take that responsibility so lightly, to lie to them on a daily basis, to disparage the truth as something that was unnecessary and a burden that didn't even have to be considered anymore. I'm Tucker Carlson. We're going to do it my way from now on. And here's what I say is the truth. Here's what I say you should believe. Here's what I say happened. And everybody went along with it. And Rupert Murdoch is, if he pays the $782 million, that's one thing. But what has he lost? What has he learned? What has he come to grips with? I mean, he fires his top man, but not out of doing the right thing. He should have done that months ago. He fired his right guy because he's PO'd at him. He's angry with the fact that they lost in court. He blames it on somebody. He can't blame it on himself because he's faultless. His children are faultless. His top executives can't do anything wrong. So who do they always fire the morning man?
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, that's how it works in our business. It's simply how it works. When somebody gets hit like that, when somebody comes to, when there's a wall that's reached and somebody has to pay an extraordinary amount of money or has to make an apology or has to do an editorial or anything like that, somebody's going to get it.
And it's always the boss jock.
And yeah, and it's not it's the interesting thing about this is that it's the guy with the higher ratings.
Yeah.
I'd almost thought that it would, like what's his name, Gutfeld or something like, somebody like that would have got it. Dobbs got it, and Gutfeld and maybe some other guy, and boom, maybe they I don't know, I don't know all the hosts there, so you pick one out and they would have got it. So it does take some degree of nerve to fire your top guy.
It's like in the NBA when you fire the head coach. Who's your head coach? You just fired him. Who's your coach? So who's going to get this slot? There's no one. They're going to move somebody in from another day part that was successful, or try somebody new.
It'll be interesting to see because not just from the fact, but I'm sure that there are tons of people who are who have their resumes already on the desk of Rupert and his sons and kids, and saying, hey, I can do just I can lie maybe even better than Tucker Carlson, because Tucker had that face thing when he lied. He would look like the spirit of Buddy Hackett was.
Also, he would ask questions. He didn't make a statement so much as saying, "Is this what you want for America?" No. Is this the way America should be? No. Is this the way America lives its life and elects presidents? No. He would have a conversation with himself. So I want to know who the next person is to do the very same. Will it be a rookie or will it be a well-established person coming in to take that spot?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how you could put a rookie there. I mean, I would have to think that you would have to find somebody who, number one, was as far over to the right as you could get, short of inciting a riot. Somebody who had some kind of name recognition. Somebody who would lie for you, because I think that's right there in the top of the terms of service for Fox, is that you have to be willing to lie
for money,
and a few other things, because our audience doesn't care about credibility. Listen, we believe Billy the Butcher and his what he's spitting out of the meat market down the corner as political fact. Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. It's that the women that come in to buy their sliced bologna, ham, and a little bit of head cheese. If you've ever had head cheese, you know what I'm talking about.
I'm not going to eat that, are we?
yeah, or olive loaf. Let's go with olive loaf. That person, besides knowing how to cut those slices of meat right, knows how to deal in innuendo, falsehood, and inciting people to get mad about stuff that may or may not be true.
You know who's kicking himself for going too far the other way? It was Rudy Giuliani. He said, I could have had that slot. I could have been a star. I could have been the king of Fox News. I just went too far, too early, too quick, and now look at me. Now, well, Rupert, I'm still golden. Come on, man, put me on.
Well, Mikey, what do they always tell you? Leave a little in the tank for next time, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what Rudy Giuliani failed to do. He failed to leave a little bit in the tank for next time. He just figured, how can I be the stupidest idiot? How can I say things? How can I get people excited and in that stand up in front of a room and hear 25 people applauding me? I'm America's mayor.
Is he still on WABC?
I don't know. I don't know if he is or he isn't. That's a whole nother situation there. But again, another guy that you talk about falls from grace. You talk about somebody who was loved by America and now has become the butt of. If you go back and look at late night TV jokes over the past 2 years, I'll bet you Giuliani comes in the top 5 of people who have been made. Trump would have to be number 1, Mike Lindell would probably have to be number 2. Now,
Well, they got a
there's
guy
a guy
on,
you could give a talk show to on Fox.
and when he gets tired, he puts his head down on his pillow, and we all take a. It's like kindergarten. We take a little nap.
Yeah,
Nap
let's take
time.
what we've hated enough for this morning, kids. Let's all lie down, put our heads on the pillow, and you know, do a little crack, and then we'll come back this afternoon for a little more.
It's like Captain Kangaroo for Republicans.
Who would be Mr. Green Jeans?
Oh, I think the representative from Ohio, James. His last name, the idiot coach from Ohio State. Come on.
Oh, Jordan, Jim
Yeah, James
Jordan.
Jordan. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jim Jordan.
Hiya, Rudy. Come on.
Yeah, that he can be the Ed McMahon for Rudy Giuliani.
And who would be the band leader?
Oh, the guy with the guitar who does game shows. Not Jim Nance, but hi, I'm Biff Jiggerman, or Biff Jiggerman could get that job. He'd be good for it, but he won't leave Kansas City.
Guy with the guitar.
He does commercials, and he always has a guitar, and he's turned out to be a right wing bullet head, Trump head.
Kid Rock, not Kid Rock.
No, Kid Rock.
Sammy Hagar.
I wouldn't want Sammy leading the band every night. I Can't Drive 55 would be like your theme song.
Yeah. It's escaping me right now. Who? Oh, you know who could do? Who would be a part of that too? Is Chuck Woolery.
That's who I mean.
Is that who you mean?
Chuck Woolery with the guitar. Yeah. Chuck.
Yeah, I never put Chuck Woolery together with a guitar. The only thing I ever get from Chuck Woolery is 2 minutes, 2 seconds. But Chuck, he's got a long storied history of lying through his teeth.
Yeah, he's a perfect smarmy band leader.
Yeah, who's consistently trying to sell you gold. You don't watch any kind of white right wing network and not see him pushing some kind of trust me, standing in front of an industrial park somewhere in Southern
Duluth,
California, and trying to sell gold futures.
The trouble with the gold that he was selling is he didn't actually have the gold. If you bought it, he was going to see if he could get some, but he didn't have any actually in stock. And
knowing Chuck, he'd be down at the border pulling people's teeth out as they've crossed over the line.
That seems fair. Now, there's a good source of gold, but he didn't have that either. He was going to get it, though, and his promise was golden, as golden as the gold he didn't have.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know what they'll do, because they're going to have to come up with something. I don't think the rotating host thing works. So all I got to do is watch Jeopardy and see how that failed miserably.
How's that working with the Daily Show? They're trying it too.
I think you want somebody. I think you want somebody that you can relate to, that's going to be there week in and week out. There's a certain, in those types of shows, there's a certain type of person. You want consistency,
and there's got to be a cadence to it. You got to be familiar with.
Yeah, Al Franken was a great TV star. When I saw him do the Daily Show, I said, maybe he could grow into it, but he seemed nervous. He seemed stiff. He seemed kind of aloof at the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's
not going to work.
Well, and I don't know that Al Franken wants to do, a daily show. He would be, if I were running a liberal or a network with a liberal slant, he'd probably be the first guy I'd call.
And what a lot of our listeners may not understand fully, and it's no fault of their own, but if you have a show like The Daily Show, where you are nightly putting on a satire of real events, you have to have a huge writing staff. You're never off duty. You're always on duty.
Right.
At any time there could be a breaking story that becomes your lead and you've got nothing for it. Now you got to create. So you got to create the visuals. You got to get the video. You got to get the B-roll. You got to get, how many jokes do you need? 8? How many do you have? I got nothing. We're going on in 4 hours. We just changed our lead. It must be written. It must be reviewed. It must be proofed. It's got to go. You got to go over it a couple times. Your life is never free from that show. Everything that you see and everything that you do is fodder for the show. And you have to think and look at the world that way.
And I'll tell you, the guy I think does that spectacularly, besides Bill Maher, who, which actually, if you think about it, if Fox wanted to make a statement, there's the guy they would go after. He's not
He's already got
he's
already got a weekend show on CNN.
Yeah, but that's if Fox wanted to do something to say we're credible, there's a guy you could bring in, because he's not a right-wing guy, he's not a left-wing guy. He's kind of just bounces back and forth on the issues. I kind of like that about him. But the guy that I was just thinking of, I just forgot who I was thinking of as a possible host for them.
Describe him.
My mind just went completely blank, Michael.
So did the producers' minds at Fox. They have no idea what they're doing tonight for the evening show.
Yeah, listen, if she wasn't governor, I'd say Sarah Huckabee Sanders would be the.
Oh my God!
Would be if you could stand her for 2 hours a night or an hour a night. But she would be one of the logical choices. Maybe Mike Huckabee. I mean, they seem to have a cachet among them in the right wing movement there.
It's a bit too hick leaning for prime time. That would have to be something more late night, perhaps.
Yeah, it might be a little too religious Christian for Fox. It might fall into that.
And remember the type of Christianity we're talking about, Vinny. It's none of this love wins all. It's none of this business about Christ saving the world. Not everybody come to me, suffer the little children, and lo, the worm turns, and the mighty shall inherit the earth. It's not that kind of Christianity.
I think it's the meek shall inherit the earth, right?
That's what I should have said. Yes, the meek should inherit the earth.
Okay, well, because the mighty already got it.
The mighty got it, and they're not giving any to you, and they're not giving, and especially not giving any to me.
And they're doing their best not to give anything to anybody.
So it's a Christianity that many Christians will be unfamiliar with, but for the viewers of Fox News and the cult behind Donald Trump, it's a brand of Christianity that they hold very dear. It's hostile, it's angry, it's dangerous, it's dismissive of other religions, it's dismissive of minorities, it's dismissive of liberals, dismissive of California, dismissive of New York, dismissive of all the things that represent the cutting edge of where this country is going. They think that 1951 would be a perfect place to start when we put this country back together again.
Oh yeah.
There's this dream of make America great again is somehow a positive, to go back in time and to relive it all over again, to have to go through civil rights again, to have to go through rock and roll again, to have to go through all the breakdowns of society one more time. They can't see the world without that conflict being settled in their favor. And it's a type of Christianity that I think that Jesus would be very surprised at. He'd say, they can't call this Christianity because I'm not involved in it in any way. Well, you gave your name to it, so they're using it until you can come back and do anything about it. What are you going to do about it, Jesus? What are you going to do?
I could see that, man. I could see that is exactly the direction that they'd want to go. And I don't know that if Christ came back to Earth today that he would recognize anything he sees at a church, where he would recognize who's the chef that goes to all the disaster areas and feeds people. Jose,
right.
He would recognize that. He would recognize, the folks at St. Vincent de Paul who fix furniture up and sell it and take that money and help homeless people. He would recognize, a lot of the Catholic charities, because they do a great job of taking money and not spending it on rich cathedrals, but spending it on food trucks to feed people.
Well, you don't have
And
to spend it on a rich cathedral if you already have one.
yeah, well, it's always good to have two, Mikey. You want someplace to park the cars. You always want someplace to park the cars.
Downtown parking is a gold mine.
Right. That's what Christ would come back and look at that stuff, and he would shake his head and just go, "What the hell are you guys? What are you doing in my name?" You
And
know,
look what you're charging for downtown parking. That's another thing
yeah,
that Christ can't believe.
$50 to park to go to church. No, meanwhile, Jerry Falwell would be there saying, "Well, you know what? I think we can get 75, and
I
we'll give
think,
him a little prayer towel with it."
but Jerry, how about free parking? Get this guy out of here.
Ain't nothing free in this world, baby. It costs me money to turn the lights on in this place. So, so you have, and we spent time on Don Lemon. We spent time on Tucker Carlson. Uh, uh, Tucker is. How long do you think he will? How long? What will happen tonight? And I guess he comes on what at 9 o'clock? Is it 9 o'clock East Coast time?
Eastern,
Is
6
that
o'clock,
his
6 o'clock
six
California
o'clock
time.
West Coast? Where do you think all of those people that sit on his every word? Where do you think they will be? What do you think they will do tonight at 6 o'clock West Coast time, 9 o'clock East Coast time? The ones who are allowed to get up out of their seats and don't have ankle bracelets on. Where do you think what do you think that reaction is going to be? Will there be people out in the street?
They
Will
want
there
Marjorie Taylor Greene to be the fill-in. That's what they expect tonight. Or they could go to MSNBC and watch the take on Rachel Maddow on Don Lemon and the firings today of Tucker Carlson.
I'll be interested to see that. I think I'd like to see what she's going to have to say. I'd like to see what CNN's going to have to say about it.
CNN did an interesting thing. They played back the Fox announcement on that they did on the morning show today, which was very quiet.
Yeah, I can't imagine Fox was
we,
making all that big of a deal out of it.
We thank him for all his wonderful days as an anchor and a contributor.
Although, what do you? I mean, they have that second lawsuit coming up with Spankatron or whatever it is. I forget the name of the company. How does
That's a Spolpakia Systems.
Yes, Spolpakia Systems. How does that affect, or does it at all affect that lawsuit? Will they be able to go into court and say, "Listen, we got rid of the problem," or go to a settlement conference and say, "Hey, we got rid of the problem. We took care of it. We're sorry. Here's $100 million or whatever it is to take a walk."
Well, I'm sure that they're in negotiations to settle out of court, but $100 million ain't going to do it.
Well, I'm just using that as a figure of.
So that means that they're dealing with another massive payout. If they want to settle this, and I know they do, out of court without anybody testifying, because remember, you still bring back Tucker Carlson now as a angry, dismissed, disgruntled former employee to testify in court. Now that's going to be interesting. Will he write a tell-all book saying what really happened? How he didn't want to lie, but they made him, and then he got trapped, and then he didn't know how to get out, and then it was all Rupert's fault anyway. And the conversations that led to their agreement. I'll do this, Rupert, but you have to agree to blah blah blah. Yeah, sure, whatever you want, Tucker. Just get in there and keep and your future employment is guaranteed only if Trump is reelected. So do a good job, Tucker. Make sure this works because we have a lot riding on it.
Keep the lies coming. Well, and our friend JD points out, what if Carlson and Lemon join forces? I don't know that would happen.
You know what it's like putting one scorpion in a bottle, everything's fine. But when you put two scorpions in a bottle,
somebody's head gets cut off.
Somebody
literally.
You can't just say these are going to be two great scorpions with a great show every morning. No, what you've got is two scorpions, and they're thinking more about each other than they are about the audience.
Yeah, it's a mess for for people who the right wingers are going to be lost tonight because I don't know who they're going to stick in the seat tonight. That's always the toughest job is the first night of of the firing, whoever they take and put in there, and takes they don't take phone calls anymore, but has to take the heat, and the whole media and the press is watching, and we've both been in that place, and you know that you just got to keep your mouth shut and try to take people's minds off it. I don't think that's going to work in the Tucker Carlson case.
I think the
Don
Tucker,
Lemon, Don
yeah,
Lemon. I mean, he's as memorable as a fart in the breeze.
you could put the two of them together in one rehash of something that's already been done. You remember Point Counterpoint, where
Right,
you have
right.
you have a conservative and a liberal just clashing, even saying nasty things about each other before they go on. You simple-minded fool. That's not the way it is. And that would be an interesting show if you had Tucker and Don Lemon. But where are you going to put it? You can't put it on CNN. They just fired that guy. You can't put it on Fox. They just fired that guy. MSNBC is not the place for it. So it would have to be a part of the
CNBC right after what's his name, the crazy guy, Jim Cramer. Is that?
Yeah. And the top guy at NBC Universal just had to quit for his illegal improper relationship with someone. I don't know who it is. Doesn't really matter. But the top man, Jeff Shell, who's Rachel Maddow's boss from the top, is out.
Is that
And that could spell changes for NBC Universal, and which is the owner of MSNBC.
It's been a bloody Monday. I mean, it's been it's. I mean, if you work at a broadcast outlet this morning,
you're feeling it right about here.
You're just getting down at your desk and just staying under your computer screen. The old theory of I used to love when I worked at Cairo. I used to love having the desk that was all the way in the back. That the program director had to come out of her office and walk out and come down and look down an aisle, and I was like back past the sports department. I was in this one spot where like the temporary hosts would reside, and because I came in there as a temporary host, and it was just fine because you could just get down, lean down in that cavernous cubicle there, and nobody would be able to see you. So the PD couldn't come out and see you. The news director, the only other person that would see me would be Michael Medved. He had the desk looking at mine. So,
Michael, you look weird today. What happened? They just fired me. Why? They couldn't find you.
I've always learned in a radio station, keep out of line of sight. It's just something that, the PD comes out of his office, he looks and he says, I don't need him. I can lop off, 60,000 off of my budget by getting rid of him.
This weekend we had the chance for our boys to play one another and to do it on television. The Mets and the Giants had a series in San Francisco. The weather was beautiful, and you're unfortunate only in one respect. Your Mets are a powerful team. They have good pitching, they have power, and they have a deadly lineup. But the Giants have a personality. When they win games, they hit home runs and they have good pitching. Yeah. And then the next day, they got nothing. So they lost to the Mets in the first game, and they lost miserably. What was it, 7-1, 7-0? I can't remember what the score was. But they won the last two games, and they did it by doing what they always do every time they win a game. They hit the long ball, and they have good pitching. And I just don't know where they go on that off day. What the hell are they thinking about on those days when they have no pitching and no hitting?
It's when you have, every good team needs 4 good pitchers. It seems that the Giants have 2.5. So if they can, this is the time when you always say, well, if they can just get another pitcher, or they can just get, that'll result in an increase of wins. The Mets have good pitchers. They keep getting hurt. That's the problem. I mean, they pay inordinate amounts of money to human beings to throw a baseball, and they hurt themselves throwing the baseball, which is not a good thing for
And,
the
and
team.
Scherzer is sticking to his story. He washed everything with alcohol.
Scherzer is an interesting character. I like his personality. I like his. There's something about Scherzer that's a throwback to the 1930s.
Billy Martin.
Yeah, that old kind of baseball player that didn't give a crap about public relations. My job is to go out there and throw the ball past people. That's what my job is.
That's right.
And I thought with the other guy coming over, and this year that they would have a great 1-2 punch, and then of course surround them with younger and more interesting guys. But Verlander has been hurt, and so that plan isn't working out. And many will say, well, it doesn't matter if it's working out now. You're going to need Verlander, starting June 1st is when the rest of the season. Don't why get them up and get them ready now when you can, but series like this shows you, but that, you need 4 top guys out there chucking the ball for you and somebody to close it out. Don't forget they also lost Trumpet Boy there, their fine relief pitcher that they stole from the Mariners. Although that deal is starting to work out better for the Mariners because Kelenic is turning into a baseball player. He's hitting the ball, and he's and I wish this kid a lot of success because he's taking a lot of grief from people up here. And I, I'm one of those people that says, listen, people come along at a different pace. Don't give up on this guy. He looks like a baseball player. He's not afraid to dive, to run, to jump over a railing. He's he's a heads up runner. He tries to stretch a single into a double when he can. He knows how to hit away from the shift when they had the shift in baseball.
I remember that Willie Mays came up from AAA, couldn't buy a hit, was nervous, shaky, no confidence whatsoever. Leo DeRocher took him aside and said, "You are the center fielder for the New York Giants today, tomorrow, forever. Go out there and get a hit." Willie McCovey came up from the minors and got sent to Tacoma twice because he couldn't hit the curveball. Because he couldn't hit? Are you talking about Willie McCovey? Yes, I am. He came to the majors and couldn't hit the curveball. Willie Mays didn't have the confidence to grab a bat and go up and swat one. So there is an adjustment period for not just some players, but for some of the most amazing players that baseball has ever witnessed.
Yep.
And it's not easy to come from the sticks, show up in New York City or Seattle or wherever wherever the show is that day, and just take it in stride. Oh, I'm in the big leagues. This is what I always dreamed about. I belong here. Then you see a 102 mile an hour fastball followed by a 64 mile an hour slider. And you go, I can't hit this pitching.
And it's moving like this when it's coming in. It's in the minors you're seeing 95, but it's coming in it's like grooved. That. You get to the majors and it's it's moving this
Everything's
way,
got a tail
that
on
way.
It.
Everything's got a little something to it. There's no if you're there because you know how to do something to the ball. You know how to make the ball jump. And it's completely different from maybe you've seen one guy or 2 guys or 3 guys, or maybe every team has one guy that can do that down in the minors. But now every team has 4 guys or 5 guys or 8 guys or 10 guys that can do that.
Everybody, including the shortstop. When we bring in the shortstop, he can still throw it so you can't hit it.
He still has a drop curve that Roger Craig taught him in training camp 20 years ago.
And he never got his dauber down.
He never got
his
had a
dauber, and it never was down.
He had a Pam dauber.
Don't we all?
Only if we were lucky. Oh, man. All right, Mike, I got some breaking news for us, too. How do you like that? Are you ready?
Yeah.
The winners have been announced. Remember last week we did we were out at the racetrack
Yes.
and we were
The mud
doing
fest.
our Mud Fest. Well, the NWAPA has announced the 2023 Northwest Outdoor Activity Vehicle of the Year. Uh, and it's quite a surprise, quite controversial this year.
How come?
I have to admit. Well, the overall winner, the Northwest Outdoor Activity Vehicle in the year of the year, has is the 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander.
Wow. Did you drive it?
I yes, as a matter of fact, I drove it. Drove it with Jeremy Barnes, who is the head PR guy for the company, and I told him a little bit of a story about it, and that I'll tell you here real quickly. My sister-in-law was in town the tail end of last summer, and she got here the week that I got the Mitsubishi Outlander, and she looked at it, and she's in the market for a new car, and she's looking at the car, and she's going, whoa, man, what is that? I've never seen one of those before. It's because it's distinctively different. And I looked at her and I said, it's a Mitsubishi, and I'm just not sure about these cars. They've made some cars that have been really good, and they've also made some cars that make you scratch your head. So I said to her, we'll drive it, we'll see. We got in, we took it out to North Bend, we took it a few different places. And at the end of her visit, her stay, when they were heading up to Canada, I said to her, actually, you know what? It was when she got back home. I called her up and I said, everything I told you about that Mitsubishi, forget about it. It's a spectacular car. I'm floored at how good the car is. I was blown away by it, and and now I know that I'm not nuts. That other people saw it in the same way that I did. So that won the overall. Some of the other category winners, the Wrangler 4XE 20th anniversary Rubicon. That's an electric Jeep Wrangler. The Mitsubishi Outlander, as we said, for the 3-row. The Genesis GV70 electrified won the luxury SUV. This is another fantastic vehicle, spectacular vehicle. The Ford F-150 Raptor won it in the pickup trucks. And the Subaru Crosstrek Premium, the
Of course.
2024, which is a brand new one for best value SUV or pickup. The runner-up in that one was the Mitsubishi Outlander. I
For
voted him
people,
actually the other way around. So
for people buying new cars, can you get these cars? Are they on the market? Are they in numbers in dealerships?
Wrangler might be tough. The Mitsubishi, I'm sure you can get all you want. The GV70s you can get. The Raptor, you're going to pay a lot for. The Subaru is not out yet. So it's the 2024. I don't think they hit the dealers for another couple of weeks.
So is your sister going to get a drive time show? You think that would be? She can pick them pretty good. It sounds like.
Yeah. I think that we ought to have her on. I think maybe next week. Well, next week we're going to have Jeremy from Mitsubishi on, and to extol the virtues of his win with the Mitsubishi Outlander. But again, a great vehicle. If you're shopping for an SUV, it's actually an electric, a hybrid where you have the plug-in that'll give you 60 miles of electric driving, and then a gas engine when you want to take it on the road. You're going up to Big Bear, or you're going up to Snoqualmie Pass, or you're going to all these different places. You have enough confidence to go. You're
But
not
remember,
thinking,
if you
"Oh
want an
crap, I'm going to run
SUV,
out."
Vinny, if you want an SUV and you live in LA, Lamborghini makes one. So don't buy the Mitsubishi too quickly. You can pay 5 times as much for an Italian SUV that has the cachet of a rocket ship.
Or you can go after the Rolls Royce Cullinan, which for $470,000 bathes you in luxury. luxury the likes of which we've never seen before.
I thought the white interior was really very bold. I thought, my God, look at it. It's not just white, it's white everywhere.
I loved it. I thought that car. I mean, it's one of those cars that who's going to buy it? I mean, they only make like 7,000 a year, I think, or 8,000 a year of that particular car. So who's going to buy it except rock stars and sheiks and diplomats and stuff like that? But it's a hell of a car, and it had
Maharajas. Don't forget the Maharajas.
Maharajas, yes, and the thing about that car was it had the chops to go off road. Sometimes you'll see these cars in there. They say off road. But there's a movement now, a thing going on in cars to make cars that actually can go off-road if you want to take it off-road. The Honda Pilot Trail Sport is one that comes to mind, where they beefed up the car to make it so that if you want to take it off the road and onto the trail, you can do that. You can take it up a fire road or something like that. The Rolls-Royce has that capability to it, which is interesting, because I can't imagine if you scratch it that it's cheap to fix.
There's nothing cheap about your Rolls Royce. In fact, you have to take it to a qualified repairman. You can't take it to Billy down at the corner.
Well, you could, but you'd avoid the crap out of the warranty. And I don't know.
I thought the engine was sealed. You look at it and you go, "Where the hell is everything?" It's underneath there. You can't get to it.
It's pretty funny. I mean, it's they certainly don't want you doing do-it-yourself repairs to your Rolls Royce. Maybe that's why they put what's the stuff, castor oil in the brakes.
Oh yeah.
So that it has a refinement to it.
Well, Vinnie, on a day when so many people have been blown out, I'm giving you a promotion. You are now Group Program Director for Mikey and Vinnie Enterprises, in charge of the prayer cloth and all broadcast relationships.
Well, I thank you, and I take that job very seriously. I can add it to my LinkedIn profile this afternoon, Program Director. It'll be a pleasure and an honor to direct us.
Group Program Director for all the all the far-reaching relationships we have in the media.
Wow, Mikey, I'm honored. Who knew? Who knew
earned
one
it.
day?
I was going to make you program director, but you kept adding old Bruce Springsteen songs, and we said we had to put a stop to that.
We had to do something about that. Now I'll have to find another artist to exploit.
The Rascals.
All right, Mikey, that's going to throw things into a state of chaos, which we are so good at.
Yes.
Any before we go, any thought on who will be behind or in front of the camera tonight when Fox turns on the lights at 9 Eastern, 6 Western?
I would move a current host of another daily show into that spot so that you have a professional, somebody you can rely on, who's not going to be nervous to do the first night. Stick to the stories of the day. Don't mention Tucker Carlson today or ever, and just move on with life. This is what happens in the media when you become, you think you're not revealing the show. You are the show. You're not the host. You are the very reason to be there. You're the story. You're the entire effort. It's all being made on your behalf. And he went that far, and he went a little further, and he went as far as anyone's ever gone on national television, and he went too far, and he paid for it with his career. And that's just.
Well, it'll bear watching where his career goes from here. But with the amount of monies that he has taken to spread his hate and vitriol, I suspect that his checks aren't going to be bouncing anytime soon. But who knows? Maybe him and the pillow guy will go into something together.
That I don't want to see.
Yeah, because most likely, let's not even go there.
Yeah, no.
That's something that if I say it, you won't be able to unsee it.
See you.
All right.
See you on Wednesday, Vinnie, for a wacky
Mikey,
Wednesday.
See you Wednesday if the Lord's will and the creek don't rise. Do me a favor. Go answer the door for that person's been knocking for the last hour. I think
He's
that,
there's a team of little men upstairs. Each of them has a hammer, and they're trying to outdo one another.
well, if they had a hammer, they'd hammer in the morning, and they certainly have been. All right, Mikey. I will see you on Wednesday. Peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby.
What a wine.
And thank you all for listening as well.